Hey, hey, you guys. Hopefully, you can hear me. I'm on the ferry from Nanaimo to Horseshoe Bay. I'm going to spend a day or so with my daughter, and hopefully that you'll have a quiet space. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. So anyway, I'm on the ferry, and just wanted to share for a minute or two with you guys and do the reading from here. And yeah, got my mask down. Everybody has a mask on the ferry, but I'm kind of sitting away from everybody. Hey, Jason. So I was talking with a friend that I've spent quite a bit of time with lately, and who's, you know,
For speaking here again. For some reason we have more trouble with this on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, but just an
hang on, got announcements.
facial coverings, masks are mandatory on board the vessel. In the cafeteria, there's a misunderstanding. People seem to think that's a mask-free or facial covering-free zone.
So we were chatting, and my friend has had some amazing awakening experiences, even before he had any idea of what was happening. He had an awareness. He really saw that we're not our thoughts. He really saw that we're not our story. But like, he had these experiences, before he had done any reading or any study or had been in any teachers, or he just realized, and that in a way the story, the idea of who we were was not real. And that we were a kind of an agglomeration of all of these things that we came into the planet as consciousness, and into this body, into our bodies was consciousness, so it's an interesting thing. So we were chatting, and I confided in him that having had this realization at a kind of a deep level, I find it sometimes, I'm going to say disturbing, or I don't know, a little bit disturbing that most of the folks around me are not. They're kind of caught in this, this belief, and it's our belief that this is real that keeps us here. We haven't even examined maybe those beliefs, and I'm here to encourage you to examine the beliefs, to really look deep at where did they come from, and our beliefs about the world, and our beliefs about ourselves, and the story that we have. The story that we have about ourselves, and many of us have amazing stories about ourselves that seem to carry us quite nicely, but are they really true? So, the story that I had that didn't, that it was not a happy story. My story was a story, that came from, this idea that. One of the things that was a story for me that, was from my mom. My mom didn't like men. She wasn't happy with her dad, and she wasn't happy with my dad, and she wasn't a happy woman around, relating and all of that kind of stuff. So I grew up as a young man feeling that, or believing unconsciously that was the truth, that and men couldn't be trusted, and I happened to be one of them, so that I couldn't be trusted either in relating and all that. But it was a story. It wasn't true. And And there's many of them, you know, when you start to look at your stories and say, my gosh, if that's not true, what is true? You know, I mean, many of us grew up thinking that in some ways we were better than other people. I grew up in a culture that was predominantly English, and in a province, New Brunswick, that had a real solid mix. But in my English culture, I was, you know, there was some training that we were in some way better than some of people who spoke a different language, and but it was not true, you know. It just wasn't true. And so, examining our beliefs, and if we really get that, you know, a couple of them aren't true, then is it possible that they're all not true, and our idea about ourselves, and that we are, you know, not good enough in some way, or not smart enough, or that we're not, you know, these are all, you know, so many of us have realized those things, and then we went to try to reprogram the mind, and my suggestion is, I got to put my mask up. My suggestion is that we don't reprogram the mind, that we don't reprogram the mind, because reprogramming the mind is just another story, you know. And I tried that. I did affirmations, and I did, you know, hung around with people that would encourage me, and was attracted to be with you know, women who would see me. I wanted to be seen, you know, for who I really was. But it's all on the level of the illusion, and we're just trying to change the script. And my experience, and this I believe is the experience that happens for us if we practice, if we use the 12 steps of AA or NA or CA, it's to have an experience where we really realize that it's not about changing the story, that we're actually not who we thought we were, that we and to not rewrite a story at all, but to come into realization of just realization of who we are, and that we're consciousness. We're consciousness. We are that. You know, we are one with. Can you guys hear me? I'm on the ferry, and the mask police just went by and said, you know, put your mask up. I know. Anyway, I'm sitting in a very secluded spot. We're pretty secluded. So that's the deal. I mean, so people say, well, how do I get to this place where I realize that I'm not my story? And we've been conditioned also with fear. Fear has been a very strong conditioning, that we have to look after ourselves, that we have to manage the world, that we have to, you know, save for our retirement, that we have to, you know, be careful, that we have to have terms in a relationship, that we have to, you know, so that we can be safe. And all of those fears actually keep us from truly realizing who we are. So recognizing that you know, in the beginning, that just that we're not our story. We're not. You know, we're so attached to the idea of being somebody's dad or somebody's son, right? Yes, realizing that we're not our story is another story, yes, but it's the beginning, Jason. You know, I know you want to go for the kill. You know, I know you do. You're like, you know, you want to kick it out of the park, and where do we start? You know, I hear what you're saying. You know, I know that being here right now with no story, with no future, with no past is truly the way, and I hear you. So, you know, really, where do you start? You know, I guess what my friend Jason was saying, you know, realizing you're not your story is another story. I hear that. Do you have any suggestions? Give us, you know, so what would you say, Jason? Where do you start? Hey, buddy, where do you start? I get that. I mean, you're smart. You see that. Is that happening for you? Are you there? You know, I'm not here to debate. My hope is to help people to start to realize, you know, that they're not their thoughts. And through that realization to begin to look deeper, you know, to look inward, to recognize that peace and serenity and happiness doesn't come from possessions or accomplishments or relationships. That peace is within us. It is us. So yeah, it's a frustrating message, really, because, you know, it would be easier if I wrote a program and said, you know, if you just do all of these things, you're going to know peace. But it's so much simpler than that. It's so much simpler than that. And the realization that how we've been living isn't working. And watch, the mind will resist. The mind will say, what are you talking about? That's bullshit. Things are going okay. Well, yes, on the phenomenal level, of course, things are going okay. You know, on one level, things are you know, but what is it that we'd like, you know? And if you're listening to this, you know, my imagining is that you're like me, that for years I knew something was missing. For years I knew something was missing. It was like, yes, something's missing. You know, what is it? What am I not getting? You know, what is it that's going on here that I'm somehow missing? And if you don't have those, you know, that isn't there for you, then you're not going to find this to be of any real interest. Probably. All right. So that's enough of that for now. I'm going to read the reading and we'll do a little meditation. And, you know, there are a couple of ways to come into this moment. There's many, I guess, but, you know, some of what happens for me is that some of what happens for me is when I sit, when I meditate, when I go into the stillness, it's amazing, you know, into the stillness, into now. And meditation helps me drop into that. So we're going to do that together. I'll have to put my mask up when I do that, I'm sure. We're going to do that together. And I'd love you to join me. First, I'm going to do this little reading. Okay. And this reading is November. Can you guys hear me with this on? November. We're in November 20, gosh, I don't know, 27th. Yeah, I think we're November 27th. Does that fit? Yeah? All right. November 27th. This is from a little book that was written in 1954 and called The 24-Hour Day. And so Jason says, I started living when I was born. Have a good day. So where does that take us? How does that support, you know, others? You know, I hear what you're saying, you know, and so, you know, is there a possibility, Jason, that there's something you're missing? Is there a possibility? And if not, then maybe, you know, I think we're all on the path to realization, and it'll come. Just hang in there, bud. Okay, the way of AA, it says. So, as many of you know, I see the 12-step path as a path to awakening, a path to enlightenment. There are many, you know, there are many teachings of, of the way. There are many teachings, and there's the Zen and the Buddhist, and there are lots of practices. Even I remember one time I went to a landmark, and landmark seemed like a very landmark form. It was, a lot of it was practical about how to be here on the planet, but they said this one thing. They said this one thing, and this one thing was that life was empty and meaningless. And I was like, wow, that intrigued me. Life is empty and meaningless, because it's this idea that we're always making meaning about everything that keeps us in the story, making meaning. Watch the mind. The mind, I call it a meaning-making machine, a magical meaning-making machine. But it keeps us in the story. It keeps us judging. Meaning always has judgment in it, good and bad and right and wrong. So, yeah. So let's go here. So the way of AA, the way of the 12-step world, the 12-step program, is a way of sobriety, fellowship, service, and faith. Let us take up each one of these things and see if our feet are truly on the way. The first and the greatest to us is sobriety. The others are built on sobriety as a foundation. We could not have the others if we did not have sobriety. We all come to the 12-step world to get sober. In the beginning, that's all I wanted was to, I wanted the pain to go away. But, and how I had dealt with the pain for many, many years was to use or drink. And I just knew I couldn't do that anymore. So I knew that I had to stop using and drinking. And so, that was the beginning, just to get dry, and then sobriety could come. And we stay to help others get sober, it says. We all come to AA, or the 12 steps, to get sober, and we stay to help others get sober. We are looking for sobriety first, last, and all the time. We cannot build any decent kind of life unless we stay sober. Am I on the AA way, the 12-step way? Beautiful. So now we'll do the meditation of the day from this little book, the 24-hour day book that I read from. To truly desire to do God's will, therein lies the happiness of a human being. We start out wanting our own way. We want our wills to be satisfied. We take and we do not give. Gradually, we find that we are not happy when we are selfish. So we begin to make allowances for other people's wills. But this again does not give us full happiness. This again does not give us full happiness. And we begin to see that the only way to be truly happy, is to try to do God's will. In these times of meditation, we seek to get guidance so that we can find God's will for us. Nicely written. So we move from, those stages, like Jason and I were just talking about, we have to start somewhere. And the realization that, running the show ourselves, living in the story, doesn't work. It's kind of the beginning. It's like, okay, this isn't working. I'm dissatisfied, or I'm restless and irritable and discontent. So where do I go from here if it's not working? And many of us went to, trying to change the story or change the program, and then we realized that wasn't working, and we realized we had to find our way to this inner peace, and that's what I'm talking about. And prayer for the day, I pray that I may subordinate my will to the will of God. I pray that I may be guided today to find His will for me. Hey, you guys. So that's the two of the things that I like to do every morning when we get to do this reading, and the other one is to meditate. So, we're going to meditate. A little late today. I'm on the ferry, if you guys are wondering. I'm on the ferry from Nanaimo to Horseshoe Bay. And it's an interesting, I have this, I don't know, call it a commitment, call it my job. And one of the things that I, have, part of it is to do this reading every day, to do this. And so here we are in that. They keep reminding us to put our masks up, so I'm sure that we're going to abide by that. So we're going to meditate. We're going to start. Hopefully you can join us if you find us, a comfortable place, and a comfortable seat to sit on, and we're going to just drop in for maybe 5 or 10 minutes and just practice this little meditation. Okay? Can we do that? If you'd like. And just know that regular practicing this, it becomes like, going to a familiar room. And you start to look around the room. In the beginning, when we drop in, we don't even see the room. We just, we're just gotta feel like we have our eyes closed and we're in our thought mind, And but after a while of going back to this space, coming inside to this space, we start to look around and recognize that, wow, what is here? What's in this room? And this room it's like a golden room in a way. It's because it's so beautiful. And there's so many possibilities in this room, in this experience of the moment. We start to recognize that we're not our body, and we're not our mind, we're not our thoughts. We are this moment. We are this consciousness. We experience the consciousness and the beauty of the consciousness. Experience in this room. And after we've been coming here for a while, we don't have to kind of make ourselves come here. We want to come here. We want to be in the presence of the light that's in this room, of the sweetness that's in this room. So I encourage you to just keep practicing until you want to, until you feel that this is the most beautiful, because that will come. So we'll start with a couple of deep breaths, just to bring ourselves into the moment. And the moment is the room, speaking of. So we're coming into this moment with our eyes closed, sitting comfortably. We're aware of our body. For me, I'm aware of the space I'm in. I'm aware that I'm sitting on a ferry. There's other beings around me. Back to the breath. If thoughts come up, just let them go. If thoughts come up, just let them go. Be in the breath. Just sit comfortably. Just feel, for me, I just feel as I sit like this, and my body just starts to relax, and it's like my cells all just expand. Cells in this body just expand. This body loves to meditate. Peace. I feel such a surrender in the moment. Just let thoughts go. Just let thoughts go. Drop in. Use your breath. Include all the sounds. Right. You can come back if you like. It's a few minutes, I think. Wow. When I come back, everything's so much. It's like the outside world. It's brighter, clearer. Thanks, you guys, for joining.
Passenger service announcement, just an information of all passengers. Notice
Thanks so
we're not
much.
to the weather's picking up just a little bit outside here for the safety of all passengers, our crew, and for the well-being of the ship. The elevators have been
Okay.
locked out.
Love you. Hey,
Once we
Ted
get
Knight.
closer to Horseshoe Bay, when the waves get a little bit smaller, we will reopen them, and I will make
You
another
bet.
announcement advising you.
Love it if you guys would follow me on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel and been trying to kind of build that a bit. There's lots of links on my page, and it's Battling Beyond David McAway, Project Awakening YouTube. Okay, love you lots. Chat tomorrow.